recall watching the CBS. They all recall it. I don't recall it. So it's affecting me. It's not affecting them. They all recall watching a CBS special where Cloris Leachman had died, and they broadcast the news and the funeral on television, and Elizabeth Taylor was speaking at it. I don't recall that happening at all. But if she were to die, that would be exactly what would happen, because they were such good friends. And Cloris Leachman was a great friend with Melly Tyler Moore and Candace Bergman and such. So, sure. And if you recall hearing about Cloris Leachman dying, call in and let me know, because I don't recall. Matter of fact, a few weeks ago was the first I've ever heard of it. I don't even have a sensation that she would have been dead years prior. Now, that means the timeline has changed, and she just now died in this timeline, but in the other timeline, which brings me to answer your question further about this time travel. Now, if you're a Star Trek fan, Spock said in one of the movies where they were talking about going back into space to get the whales, I think it was Star Trek 4 or such, he said when they go fast enough around the sun, pick up enough speed to slingshot themselves into the past, they need to come up with the same amount of speed to slingshot themselves back into the future. They say we need to find an unpopulated area to set the ship down, because it will be carrying a lot of solar radiation. And Scotty said, what kind of solar radiation? He said it will be in the coronal proportions. So coronal proportions brings me back to that coronavirus, that radiation again. So could be time machine has been used, and then the people who are affected by the timeline are the ones that are being sick or poisoned by the radiation that gives off the emissions, because the emissions are not carbon emissions. There is no fuel, gasoline, jet fuel, or anything to power up a time machine. You need radioactive material, something that powerful to get the job done. You know, that's all that you can do. Take a break and be back with Black History Month. That's what they're trying to tell me. All right. So we'll be right back in 2 minutes. Thanks for listening.
The word real has lost its meaning these days. There's too much fake out there. Real food means fresh food. Fake food means processed food. It's as simple as that. Well, here at Chipotle Mexican Grill, we source the best ingredients that we can find and prepare them by hand. That's real. That's fresh. We're all about preparing food without added colors, flavors, or preservatives. Just genuine raw ingredients and their individual flavors. We source from farms rather than factories and spend a lot more time on our ingredients than many other restaurants. We wouldn't have it any other way. Fake and processed food is never a problem at Chipotle. We have a skilled crew who take the time to use our fresh ingredients to prepare only the best meals to come out of our restaurants. Because that's how we roll. Chipotle Mexican Grill. We do it.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Baltimore's Talking Live. I'm your host, Dr. Q. Co-host is me, Aaron Green. And speaking of time travel in Star Trek, a Black History Minute goes to LeVar Burton. LeVar Burton is an actor who was born in this day in 1957 in Landsill, Germany. LeVar Burton won fame for acting in the TV show Roots, which is based on the novels of Alex Haley. He played Kunta Kinte. He became once more known in the 80s and 90s. During that time, he was doing Reading Rainbow. People don't even forget Reading Rainbow. Also, he also recruited a role in Star Trek Next Generation as Jodie LaForge, and also did movies. Also, he directed a couple of movies, some Disney movies, and other things. He's also doing a lot with Reading Rainbow, and also doing a lot with children and reading books in the library to this day. LeVar Burton, this is your Black History Minute. Nice segue to get into. Now, it's time for Deal Breaker or No. Dr. Q?
Deal Breaker or No. This has become a major debate between me and a friend. The story is about a friend. She met this guy. He was a firefighter. Took her to Hawaii, took photographs. She enjoyed his company. He has a daughter. Sole custody of the daughter. Wife's deceased. Didn't settle down. He's starting to get a disease called monocular degeneration, which is when the eyeball starts to break down inside the socket. So the vision is getting worse and worse and worse. So in spite of all of that, she still doesn't mind man's company. One day he had a cold because he doesn't like to wear coats and jackets and just come outside like he's a caveman. And she said, "You go in the jacket before you catch a cold." He said, "I'm all right." So in the front yard, there's a pond that you can buy from Home Depot, Petco. I guess it's called an actuary. I think that's the word, actuary. And dig a hole in the dirt, plastic, actuary in the ground. Fill it up with water. And you put the fish in it. So it looks like you actually have a moat in the ground, but you don't. And I think when it gets cold outside and it freezes, I don't know. Maybe the birds drink out of it. I don't know. I never had one. I wouldn't trust to put it in my yard because children probably come steal the fish or put their hand in water the fish out. So I don't know. So he went to say something to her, and he said, he spit into the pond, and she said, "Oh no, the fish gonna eat it and get sick," which I think is hilarious. So I don't think the fish want to eat it and get sick. And based on that situation alone, she decides to break it off with lost contact with don't want to be bothered with, don't want to see. I think it's stupid, trivial, nothing serious, nothing make spit. You know, we should have him rather swallow it. You know, you got to get it out. And he can't really see, so you don't know if he was trying to spit in the grass and hit the pond or what. Or you don't really know how many times he spit in the pond, you didn't see it. I don't know. But for her, this was a deal breaker. Do you think that will be a deal breaker, Green?
No. I mean, shit. Christ. Yeah, it'd be deal breaker because it's funny how people deal with other people in diseases and anything else. You want to take care of them, or do you don't want them to take care of them? It's up to you, you know. If this person's so confident in disease and everything else, and you know, first of all, you should not go without jacket on. First of all, go out with jacket. I don't know why he does that in the first place, trying to show off himself, let alone the dangers of what is to come with your disease.
This was pre-COVID.
But still, people, it's still. But you know, go pre-COVID or non-COVID, you have a disease that she didn't know that it could be contagious. It could be like something other than that, where this thing mutated. Christ's sake, people.
The disease is an eyeball monocular degeneration.
Oh God, it's always some shit.
You're going blind. That's not contagious.
Well, that's reassuring. That is so reassuring.
He just had to clear his throat, and he decided to spit, and he spit in the fish pond. And she thought that was disgusting to the point where she didn't want to be with him no more, even though they've been talking together for 4 years.
Love is a crazy fucking thing. No. That's no.
So it's not a deal breaker.
We're not a deal breaker to me.
Right. Yep. I agree. It's not a deal breaker. But for some people, they're just looking for a way to get out of something. So the first chance you get a chance to get out of something, that's what you do. At least from my experience, I've seen that's what people do. Oh, you too tall. Pew. Oh, you too fat. Pew. Oh, I was looking for somebody who made more money. Pew. You know, it don't matter what it is. It's an excuse to run and exit. So I try to get all the surface stuff out first so they can exit and stop wasting their time.
Yes, I think people are too picky with dating. I think people are too picky with doing all this first, but you need to fix yourself first before you date that person.
Mm-hmm.
And tell yourself what you need first before you deal with that person that's coming into your life. But never mind, never listens. We're a very shallow society.
Here's another one. This is from not too far. Young lady meets this guy on don't mention it. Meets this guy on a dating app. They matched them together. They talked on the phone. They instantly hit it off to where they're finishing each other's sentences. They fall asleep on the phone talking to each other. Stay up all night talking to each other. Make themselves late for work talking to each other.